Okay, so today we're going to build a base for the Khorne Berserker, and I figured I would do some barricade styled base so that we have a bit of a background for him, and that means I have to build the actual barricade in the back, and I'm going to use these wooden sticks for that. They are just about the size. If I could choose, I probably would want them a bit thicker, I guess, but it's going to work for our purpose. Yeah, so these are going to make up the barricades. They are obviously just from my local store, so you can, for your barbecues, you can just put on vegetables and meat and whatever. Yeah, so they come in a pretty large pack, and you're going to be able to use them forever. So this is called Nature in the Back Natural Bamboo. I got that from PK Pro just because I was ordering anyway, and I was looking around for some stuff. It's called Natural Looking Bamboo. I'm actually not 100% sure if it actually does look natural. I mean, it's close enough, probably for the larger scales, but in this case I just figured if I want a bit of variety, I could throw those in, and since I'm going to paint them later anyway, it's not that much of a big deal. But yeah, those are just backup in case I need some smaller elements for the barricades. The bulk of the base is gonna be made up out of cork, and I just have this trusty piece of cork that I just in case I need some stone texture, some rock texture, I can also create that with this. So I'm not a fan of the really tight pressed layer corks, especially if you don't treat them right and just put them over each other, and all the individual layers are still showing. But yeah, if we just need something to bulk up the base, then this cork is going to be good for that. So next, I was looking for a few pieces of wood, and again I'm using roots. In this case it's probably actually this might not be a root, this might just be a piece I picked up because it's curved like this. But again, roots do work better because of the the way they grow through the earth. They can't just grow in a straight line. Often they have to bend around stuff, and that gives us a gnarled look that actually resembles, especially in the scale that we're using them for, resembles trees a lot better than actual just pieces of wood. But yeah, in this case I'm going to use a branch that is straighter. I don't want it to be that gnarled, and I'm going to break it off somewhere here, and then we can put the barricades next to them. So maybe this is a cornerstone of the barricades. We will see how it goes. It's a bit of a process. It's not that much planned. I just want to put the branch here and then do all the barricades in line. So we will see how it goes. And maybe just have a secondary bit of wood there, but also here. I'm not sure. Like I said, and this is probably something that I'm just going to be putting on for additional detail. Then next up, we do have just a piece of string that I'm going to be pulling apart because it's a bit large for the scale. But if I pull it apart like this, we have some smaller string to bind the barricades together. And just for that illusion, if it's too fuzzy, then you can dip it into a bit of glue and apply that together. Apply, is that the right word? Or, you know, do like this either way. So yeah, that's going to be for our barricades. Then next up, you know, the actual area where the miniature is going to be standing on, I'll be using these to represent wooden boards, and those are not the optimum. You would probably be better off with balsa wood, but I don't really have that, and this was, you know, just go to your local McDonald's or whatever and grab some coffee stirring woods. I think they still have them. Some might have the plastic variations, but yeah, you know, just try Starbucks or whatever. They should have them. Just grab a handful. I mean, don't be greedy and leave some for the others, but you know, just 5 of them won't be really missed, and they get you actually a long way. And these I'm probably going to have to work with a burnishing brush to get out the wooden structure a bit more. Where with balsa wood you could probably just get away with a hard brush out of some other bristles. But yeah, you definitely want to have some wooden structure showing, and in this case I have to increase it a bit. Then next up, for the groundwork, like I said, I'm going to be putting in some cork for the volumes. And then I have my dirt box around, so we're either going to create some texture with natural earth, or I'm going to be using Games Workshop structure paints. I don't have them here at the moment, but once we get to them, you're going to see how we are going to work with them. I plan to mix them a bit, so you have some of the crackle medium and some of the more textured paint, and yeah, we're going to try to do something with that. And then of course we have all kind of pigments that are also going to maybe play a role, but we'll see once we get to the painting. Yeah, when that is done, I'm probably going to try and using some of the mini nature or mini natura stuff, moss on our tree. So I never did that. I want to try it. It's gonna look interesting, I think. And then obviously I have some of the just grassy textured mini natura stuff, and some random yeah, mossy texture that I'm also probably going to be applying rather as undergrowth and all that. We will see. Then another thing that I have lying around is these leaves. It's maple leaves in this case, and I bought them 10 years ago, I think, and I still have some of them left over. So I'm gonna use these first. And then we can also, of course, create a few more with the PK Pro punch. You know, comes in maple leaves, comes in all kinds of variations. I have some, what are these? Birch, I think. Might be oak, I don't know. Probably oak. Whatever. Either way, they come in all kinds of variations. I just tried this one a bit, and it actually creates almost the same texture. It's a tiny bit less detailed, but it works. And yeah, just going to be creating a bunch of leaves on the ground and then later paint them. So that's about it. Just checking if I forgot something. Oh yeah, and then I have of course milliput as a filler material if we need it. And then I'm using some of these skeletal warriors that I have lying around for this purpose, and they do have some, you know, weapons and shields that we can use, you know, rotten weapons, just any type of shields, rotten shields that you can place on bases. And you know, the occasional skull maybe, but we will see if we are going to do that. Also some rib cages that we could use. Yeah, so just additional detail to put on bases. So yeah, let's see. Let's go and create the bulk of the base. So I guess I'll go like this. Yeah, this looks okay. So just a slight inclination here. It kind of fits into that corner pretty neatly. And that just, you know, gives us the opportunity to make the edge of the base wider a tiny bit. And not just work with the straight line here that we have because of the cut. And I'm not a fan of what you could do, which I'm not a fan of, because you can also do it in another way, like I just said. Just create areas where your elements reach over the borders and then fill them up with gravel and all that. Also works, but you know, what you could do is cut out a few areas with a Dremel and make the levels just different. That always looks better. Well, in most cases looks better. Sometimes you want an even plane there and just a simple even plane, maybe in a desert setting or whatever. But yeah, most of the time it looks way more interesting like that. Okay, and I'll be cutting this down later. Going to install that first, so I'm going to take my drill. Just have some ordinary aluminum wire. Let's see. Right, and yeah, it has a bit of a curve. I just somewhat want to position that in an interesting way, but also make it work with the barricade still. Okay, yeah, let's just glue that in. Okay, and using our trusty activator spray. Right, and you see it has a good curve. I'm probably going to put like a piece of cork right there. Just taking a random bit that looks a bit interesting. That could later serve as a bit of rock if we so choose to. Like right here, maybe. Or, you know, if it doesn't work, we can still cover it with some other texture. But it helps to break up the borders of the base and give it a bit of a different balance. And I just want the whole thing to be a bit wider, because also the miniature reaches over that you know, that area here. So I kind of want to also have the base lean to the side, and yeah, just look a bit more interesting. I think I'm going to pull that a bit more to the side too. I'm just fixing everything with super glue. Going to try and not clutter up the picture too much. Okay, next up, I think we're going to plan how this is going to go. Let's see. Going to take a bit of sandpaper here. And yeah, they I want to say they're made out of bamboo, maybe, and they have this texture, this filament texture, that I just want to tone down a slight bit. So just getting rid of any excess filaments here. So you can see there's some filaments flying off. Should make the whole thing a bit rounder too. Just because I don't think they are going to be building barricades out of bamboo in the area that I'm going to set my base. And I'm just going to cut these into a certain length. Let's see, maybe make it slightly bigger than the miniature. Okay, we can be a bit generous, since I think I'm going to be adding, like I said, some planks and stuff there in this area. I'm just going to cut these into more or less the same length. So these are probably going to make up the bulk of our barricade. We have a few more, just one more piece of the wood. Okay, they have a bit of a curve, which is okay actually. And I'm keeping all the in-between stuff, you know, maybe add them to the sides for just additional detail. And then I'm going to start sharpening these, and let's see how that goes. This should work too. Okay, just cruelly working on these. And giving them, you know, not just doing the very tip here, but also going down a bit and cutting these in shape, so that we later have a bit of an interesting surface to paint. Okay, so I'm going to create a few of these. And again, trying not to make them too regular and mix it up a bit. Don't think it would make that much difference. Maybe, you know, it would just look a bit more menacing, but I don't know. Probably going to leave it like this. Right, then just let's see how we're going to put them in order. Maybe not make them too different. And then just have a few of them break off. So I think I'm going to do one more. Smaller one and then another one. Yeah, so I'm just going to do a few more. Let's see. Before we actually glue these to the base, I'm going to open that wire a bit more so that I have some filaments to wrap around. I was actually looking at some sewing garn. No, not garn. How do you say that? Sewing. Well, stuff that you use for sewing. But it wasn't as big as this, so this looks a bit more like the real deal. And I'm just going to wrap it around. Yeah, just going to wrap it around the elements here. So let's start with this. I'm probably going to have to glue it on, at least for the first one. And it's gonna be a bit messy, but yeah, we're just going to cover that with paint anyway. Okay, so that's soaking up super glue pretty good. So let's just put a long piece around that. This thing is eating super glue or drinking. Don't drink super glue, either way. So one thing that I want to do, is wrap it around the tree as well. So I think I'm going to place a few cork pieces just right here to have a bit of a base to go off of the, well, not a bit of a base, but a place where I can rest the lower sides of those barricade elements. Okay, let's glue this on. Putting on a bit more because the wood is drinking that up too. Okay, one piece, two piece. Okay, that's not really holding all that well. So let's just do it like this. so that the filaments become a bit of a thread again. And I kind of like how this looks in the end, because they're not going to have, you know, threads that are, or ropes that are going to be super elegantly and well made. And I'm going to glue a second thread to one of the elements. I'm going to give it a bit of length to either side. Just like we did with this. So first element is going to go on there. Yeah, we can also go with the theme of just gluing a bit of that cork to the side that we did over here, so that we have a bit of a groove where we can rest these in. Well, okay. Should make it easier to glue on. Yeah. Right, and I'm going to get rid of all the excess filament there eventually. And it might be better to do that, you know, to put it all together first and then just wrap the last one around. Yeah, we probably should have done that. Yeah, you definitely have to be somewhat crafty to do this. Or at least have a lot of patience. Actually, we could get away with just having this. I just think composition-wise, now where did I put it? I don't know why my finger is doing that. We scared. Don't try yet. Oh, saved. Saved. Okay, let's. Okay, next one. Okay, with a bit of practice, this is actually going faster and faster. But you know, it's just fun once in a while to do something completely crazy and just build something. You know, this might even be a tiny bit overkill base-wise. But in the end, who cares? The thing is, I'm going to be probably losing a bit of this down here because I'm going to be putting in the planks too. So better have it a bit taller than too low. Like you could really just leap over it. That would look a bit stupid. I think I'm going to put another one here. Good idea, actually. I think I'm going to start, well, maybe one more. displaced and then have them move down a bit in an angle, or in a circle, half circle rather. Then maybe a last one coming down like this. This should be a bit more stable, so more super glue. That's coming to the side a bit too much. Yeah, we have to super glue this together so that we are later going to be able to paint it. Have it hang down somewhat realistically. And actually I think I'm going to also use this one. Just glue it together. Not as much maybe. I'm going to be putting it right here. Okay, and we can continue creating these rocks around the palisade. So around here I'm probably just going to put various pieces of cork. Okay, I don't want to make this too large, but I think this is okay. Just always take into account that here we have this whole thing bent downwards a bit. So we kind of want the stones to also resemble that. So if it was more standing upright, we could just do this, for example, but here I just want to reflect the whole thing bending down a bit. And I'm also going to align this quote-unquote stone with that. Just putting rough texture there instead, so that they are not looking too smooth, and so that we have some in between parts that we can later fill with yeah, just earth and dirt and pigments. All right. I just generally try to stay away from too regular surfaces, and that way we can also have a bit of yeah, the cork come over the edge a bit more. Yeah, so the whole thing is going to have a bit of a slope towards the tree, because trees usually just don't come out of the ground like that. Kind of want to mimic that there's roots below the surface. And the next thing that I have to do is work with these. I just need to just want to try and see how they look when I break them apart. Don't really have any balsa wood, which is probably better for jobs like this. But let's see, maybe they break in an interesting way. And then also I wish I had a burnishing brush like that, but right now I don't. see, I'm just going to break up a few pieces, roughly in the shape that I want to put them on, and then care about the detailing later. And then also we need to find a way to fit the miniature to the base in the proper way. So at least two of these have to be parallel, at least parallel surfaces. So let's see. Yeah, so just playing around with arranging these. Maybe break them up a bit like this, so that this side comes to the front. Right, so next up I'm going to go back to the cork. And I'm going to make these areas a bit wider, just to have yeah, a bit of a larger surface up here to work with. Excessive use of superglue. Okay, debating with myself how far I go on this side, but yeah, just with these corks that are smooth on the upper side, you can look for these, and they are nice for stuff like that, simply because they have a smoother surface, and then they just break into more loose rock-like structures. And like I said, they're pretty good for gluing them to the sides of bases for that reason. So let's just continue with that. So I also prepared, like I said, some bits that I cut out of the skeleton box. So I'm probably going to prepare that too. Maybe just gonna put it here. Either way, I'm going to cut it off a bit so that it fits on the base better. And I'm taking that lower part to go on the base, because then I can still adjust since it's broken anyway, and maybe I just need to turn it around in some way or the other. But yeah, I'm probably going to place it somewhere here. So I'm just going to put this smaller part somewhere here. Definitely going to take a bit of a bend, not bend, but an angle, instead of just gluing it on like this, because then we have yeah, you just basically don't want to go too parallel with your plinths and bases that you use. I'm going to continue with the theme of just making that base a tiny bit larger all over the place. It gives us a bit more of an interesting ground to work with. Just covering most of the ground that we can still see here. And by ground I just mean surface of the wooden plinth, obviously. Right. Okay, that goes on there nicely. And yeah, sometimes you, with natural stuff like cork and wood, you can just rip it apart and then just try to place them somewhere. And sometimes they just fit naturally to it, so just put them there and don't think too much about it. And like that, I'm just gradually building the groundwork for what's coming next, and the rest I'm just covering in earth anyway. So we're good with that. Okay. That still looks a bit odd, so I just want to break up that line with something. I guess that works. Okay, and I think over here, just small piece to cover maybe that edge or that corner here. Let's see. That's not a small piece, but let's see how that looks. Why are you not sticking? Next up, I want to put on the shield here somewhere. Just gonna dry fit it again. Actually, let's see if we put this here. How far do our boards reach back? Yeah, so that's the thing. We definitely need to get rid of this. Just put it on there like this. See that it's somewhat straight. Okay. One thing that I still haven't decided is how I'm going to rough up my boards a bit. Or just put in some line work like this. Guess that works. Just rough them up a tiny bit so that they're not too smooth. that out a bit again. Let's see, I don't think we need that many, probably just 4 more or something like that. Okay, and we have to make sure that these are coming down a tiny bit. I don't want them to stand out too much, well, or be inclined up that slope. But we're definitely going to put in more material there. And mixing that up a bit, with the knife being a bit wider or leaving wider marks than that. Thought I just cut off the tip of my finger, but luckily I didn't. Okay, I think I'm going to break one of them. Didn't necessarily want to break the one that he's standing on. So I need a bit of a lower surface here. High precision tools. Okay, second one. To make sure I don't glue them on the wrong way. Okay, these should be somewhat flat, so that he can stand on this part. Then that one's going to be broken. Let me just double check. Okay, so that one goes back here. That can be broken, and then the next one should go on, yeah, straight again. Okay, let's see, do we have some of this glue left? That would be awesome. Sure, because that simply only works with super glue. Okay, then the last one is going to overhang like this. I don't think we need it because it's standing somewhere here, but I just want to, like I said, just go a bit over the borders, and then maybe also put in a smaller one. Okay, wait, did we texture that? No, we did not. Okay, so one last thing that I want to do, and I hope this is not going to ruin it, but I'm just going to press in. Maybe that's not the right tool. Let's see, what else do we have? Maybe do it like this. But just create the hole here for some color to catch on, so that it looks like a nail actually went in there. Okay. And yeah, for the last bit, I'm going to put this here. But yeah, that's just a weird word for me to say in English. I don't know why. I think because in German we pronounce it like the French do it, and yeah, so, and the English refuse to do that. English American. I'm just kidding, by the way. It's just pronounced differently. I got it. Okay, thanks for the help. Hold on. Let's see. Let's look into that. Wow, so many messages. Stop it, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay. Next, I wanted to add all kinds of dirt from my dirt box. I'm going to try and add all the rubble, so the earth, and then some stones on top of that. I might go ahead and just pick out some of the stones, like this, for example. That's probably a good one. I wish I had some larger ones. Where's the largest stones? I have some, you know, and you could actually, you were able to buy these from Games Workshop. I don't know if they still sell them. Is it really that bad? Oh, actually there's a few stones here that we could use. I mean, it's basically shale. Some of it broke in an interesting way, but then again, this is probably not the texture that I want. It's still too how do you say that? They're like cubes, and they're too cubic, and I don't want that. I want them rather to be broken up a bit more. Maybe like this, you know, when I break cork. That's less cubic, it's more round with sharp edges and stuff like that, so that's what I'm looking for. Either way, so I need a few stones. I probably have some in here in my dirt box. There's my pliers. Yeah, maybe like that. But then again, there is maybe not enough texture. Just have it look like rock. That would be great. If we can't find any, I'm probably just going to take some. Yeah, you see like that. That's still that's too regular for the scale. You kind of want to have a lot of You want it to have a lot of texture still. And yeah, if push comes to shove, we can still sculpt something around a piece of cork. But yeah, okay, so that's not going to work, I guess. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to be covering all that in earth. And for that, I'm just going to be applying a lot of super glue everywhere. And then I just have my dirt box and all that stuff goes on. Probably not going to use the larger parts. Would rather use these. So there's a few roots in there, also some parts, some small branches, and just all kinds of organic material, wood, for example, just wood chips, and that can all go on randomly, and that creates an interesting texture. So never go over this with your nose. You want to stay away from that because of the fumes that it generates. Okay, so let's do this. I'm just going to apply a lot of super glue in these areas, and then we're gradually going to build up a a lot of dirt, and I am probably going to use 2 layers. So just have the loose stuff come off, then go at it again. This is, for me, this is better because I can just pile up and then have it, instantly be fixed to the base. It's just faster, I guess. Okay, so I think I'm fine with that. I want this to be covered a bit more. And this is a bit more of a random finish. Definitely glue on a bit more of the rubble variety. Yeah, there's a few attempts or ways to tackle this, definitely. For me, like I said, the added bonus of it being completely random is what makes it worthwhile for me. And obviously it's a bit of a controlled chaos. And yeah, if you have a simpler base, you can just apply the super glue everywhere and just put it in there and slap all the, and you know, the earth on and just leave it to dry like that, or just dip it in like this. But obviously in this case, that's not really working properly because the base is too large already. Then I'm also applying some to the lower parts of the cork so that it's broken up a bit with earth and you know, being partly cork, so rock showing, and then partly just earth attached to that, so that we have, yeah, some variety in there too. I think I'll leave the rocky texture back here. Maybe switch it up a tiny bit here because that's not really sticking too close to. Okay, let's see, do we have any stones to put there? I think I'll just put this one here. Is this going to stick? Not quite. Just to break up the monotony a bit. And then do we have another one? Let's see, maybe put this one here. Yeah, that's going to work. Just doesn't want to stick. Now it does. Okay, let's see, what else do we want to do? I think I want this slope to be a bit more steep. I think this is going to be what we're going to run with. Let's see. Anything that I still want to do on top of that? Let's just tone down a few areas here. think I want some more rubble to come here to the front. It's probably going to look better. Put some super glue down somewhere. And just dip these in, and then put them here. Is this working? Wow. Well, theoretically it is. Right, just to break up in the monotony here and make it look a bit more interesting. Come on. That didn't quite work. Okay, let's bring back the dark box. Just going to add the occasional dot. For example, here. Some details. Just to have some of it catch on. Because that was looking too, yeah, too clean. Okay, I think that looks better. I'm not quite sure, but one thing that I want to try, I'm going to use the moss on the trunk right away. And don't forget, moss on a tree is always growing what direction? Small test. Doesn't matter if you don't know it, but just make sure that it is only facing into one direction. And this I'm going to add right now because I'm probably going to paint it in a darker variation. Let's see. Let's take some of that larger, and some of these larger chunks. And the glue is okay, but I'm still going to use a bit of super glue. Of course, it sticks to the pliers more than anything. Yeah, and that actually does look pretty good already now. Yeah, that looks really good. And this is going to, yeah, we're going to dry brush that later, I guess, with some different colors. Of course, it's probably also looking good if you just put it on afterwards, after you painted your piece. Yeah, I think that looks interesting. Okay, so strategically it was a bit weird, but I didn't want it to face directly to the front because that would take away the element of realism that it just looks into one direction, and then people would think, okay, that just goes around the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, just a bit of an additional detail. That looks pretty good, I think. I just might want to put like one right here. Okay, that's not visible from the front, so maybe not do that. You know, just maybe like some colony also started to grow there. Okay, I think you could maybe even mix them. I still think these looked the best. If you were just aiming for... If you were not aiming to paint it, then these still probably look the best color-wise. I guess if you're painting it, then these are okay too. Or maybe if you want some really intense green base, then that's also going to work. Actually, I think I might try some base that is just moss covered and really intense green with just this. For that it might work, but for our purpose here, I think this is okay. So now I don't know if I want to add this right away. I guess I will just do it. Screw it. Yeah, I'm not too sure about these. They just work so weirdly. And if you cut them too short, then they kind of look like... Yeah, then they look weird, as in... Okay, there's just two blades of hair. What's that going to be? An alternative would be to just put these there. I cut these off. About here, maybe. Right, so that's what we could cut off there. And then that should go in there. Well, let's see, maybe give this a bit more of a shake. So that they don't all look the same direction. Alright, let's try that. Actually, I think we might be better off with just some PVA glue. Where's our special tool? Super high precision. Oh, here it is. Go high precision. PVA glue applicant. I think I might even like that better. Just wish it would dry a bit faster because Yeah, I don't want it to slowly fall to the ground. But that actually looks a lot better.